I had to sit through an interview where SIU detectives insisted on referring to my daughter as my son.
With her husband at her side, Jessica Norton held nothing back, telling the school board she wasn't there to beg for her job. She was there on behalf of her daughter.
District leadership tried to ruin my life, but instead destroyed the life of an innocent 16-year-old girl. They destroyed her high school career and her lifelong memories and experiences. My daughter was flourishing at Monarch.
Her daughter's peers at Monarch High School walked out of class last November in support of their classmate and to protest the suspension of Principal James Cecil. Under a Florida law passed in 2021, trans girls cannot play girls' sports. Norton's daughter was on the girls' volleyball team, mostly a bench warmer, she said. But when someone outside the team outed her, the district suspended the principal, the athletic director, and also Jessica Norton, who is a school employee, for violating the law. Her daughter enrolled in virtual school for her own safety.
Here in the free state of Florida, a.k.a. DeSantistan, these small government, individual local rights conservative Republicans in our legislature, in the governor's mansion, yes, they have school gender police that come and interrogate parents and teachers and principals and school employees. And this is a thing that we do here in the free state of Florida. It's just wild to me that, and this is something that the right is so good at just like, you remember when they were worried, Roy, about in Obamacare, there was going to be death panels, right? Death panels, right?
Yeah, completely made it up. Yeah,
completely made up. Bullshit never happened.
That's what they usually do, yeah.
Now we have women in Florida, pregnant women, bleeding to death in emergency rooms.
Those are
because of individual rights, because of freedom, because America. I'm not really sure but like now we have the death panels. We now have a bunch of old rich white men deciding about health care for individual women based on nothing to do with their own bodies and their clergy and their families and their doctors. It's crazy. And now we have gender police. We have people who want to track periods. We have people of young girls. We have people who want to check in your pants to make sure you can use the restroom that they decide you can use. And we are ruining the government. The small government conservatives are using big government as a weapon to clobber, and beat up and punch down on, what is it? Transgender teens have just had it too good for too long in this country, right, Roy? I mean, it's just about time, us white men take some power back, right?
Yeah, they're spoiled.
Yeah, seriously. The more rights they have, the fewer rights I have, right?
Yeah.
Understand this. You believe in conservatism and small government. The more Americans that have more rights, the smaller government is. Because the less powerful and intrusive government can become, because more Americans have more rights. And if you let more people, I don't know, say, for example, engage in the contractual institution of marriage, that's all it is. Government accepting marriage is just saying, like, okay, this contract between two consenting adults we acknowledge is legally legitimate, and you get whatever benefits you get from being legally identified or accepted as married by the state, by the feds, whatever. Who cares? Who cares? Let people live their life. Don't tread on me. How about that?
Those damn license
plates.
Don't
tread on Jessica Norton, and don't tread on her lawyer, Jason Starr, and don't tread on Jessica Norton's daughter. And let's start there. Jessica and Jason are joining us now. Jessica, first and foremost, there is breaking news this week. The school board voted. You were in jeopardy. You were in risk of losing your job. Instead, on a 5-4 vote, they suspended you for 10 days. I say congratulations on that, because that's as close to a victory as I suppose you could get here. But more importantly, I guess it's a Pyrrhic victory, because how is your daughter doing? You said there in your comments to the board last month that this ruined her life. So how is she?
So she's returning back to normal as much as possible. So let me explain that I did get a 10-day suspension with the stipulation that I cannot return to my job as an IMS.
Oh.
So is that a victory? Because I'm not getting my job back. I'm getting a job, but not the job that I was taken out of. So that is the whole story. Up until that decision, there was a small chance that she would be returning to school with me. Maybe not at the beginning, but eventually she might have come back with me and enjoyed the rest of her high school career. Now that they have made the decision to take me out of my position and essentially could possibly take me out of the school and put me somewhere else, the chances of her going back are slim to none. So she, it's tough. She was very involved in school. She was a very involved teenager. And now she doesn't have that because they took her safety away.
I guess it was indeed a Pyrrhic victory, if a victory at all. I'm sorry to hear that. But I imagine that life with a child who is struggling and transitioning and discovering that she, feels the way she feels and is not in the right body. I can imagine what a struggle that was for your family. But now that private struggle was outed and blown up into an international incident here. What has that been like first navigating the waters you were navigating, we'll call it pre-scandal, but then now your business is out there on the streets. Like what has that been like for your family to kind of try to survive? You had your private struggles, but now survive a scandal.
Right. So at the beginning, it was very tough. I didn't leave my house for almost 4 weeks. I was afraid to go out in public. I wasn't sure how I was going to be received if somebody ran into me at Publix or if somebody saw me on the streets. So it was really tough. It was very scary. The world is a crazy place and people are insane. So we did, receive phone calls and letters to the house. I had to have a police car in front of my house for 4 weeks because of the uncertainty if somebody was going to come to my house. It's been very scary, to say the least. The way the school board handled this was completely inappropriate. This could have been handled in a much quieter way. It could have been handled much quicker. But it wasn't. So it's been scary to say. That's the only word that I can use. It's been scary. After 8 months, we've come to the conclusion that this is now our lives. We're going to be in the public eye now. And we have to deal with it the way our family has learned to deal with it.
So because of this, for the rest of her academic career, is she going to have to be homeschooled?
It looks that way. It appears that's the route we're going to have to take.
Justice in the free state of Florida, Roy. That's how this works. Jason Starr, you are quite literally standing beside Jessica here in this struggle. And for those of you listening, they're sitting shoulder to shoulder here on video. Where does this? What is the start of this? Like, are these complaints coming from other volleyball players who are upset that a trans girl is competing as a girl? Like, is this an issue at the administration of the school? Like, where does all of this start? Like, are students angry or teachers angry? Like, or is this or is this a top down, if you will, kind of an issue?
Well, I'll start by saying, we often look at these kinds of laws and characterize them as solutions in search of a problem that create problems. And I think this is a textbook example of what happens when the legislature, passed this law and the governor signed it back in 2021. There was no groundswell of issues being raised by parents or student athletes or really anyone who, because frankly, sitting at 1 to 2% of the population, there's just not a crush of transgender students playing sports in the first instance. And so in Jessica's case, of course, we on behalf of Jessica and the family filed a lawsuit against the law to really vindicate her and her daughter's rights around being able to continue to play girls team sports as she's done since she's been, very little, starting with basketball and soccer and volleyball, really as a way to create community and build social bonds, to learn the value of hard work and ethics and the value of winning and the value of losing, all of the things that we encourage kids to engage in sport. We, that lawsuit proceeded as it should, right? Miss Norton is the parent. She has a core, First Amendment right to petition the government for redress, if you will. And that was what happened. 2.5 years into the process, shortly after the volleyball season last year, but maybe more notably after at least the first iteration of our case was dismissed, a so-called anonymous tip was called into actually a board member who, as you say in the free state of Florida, was actually appointed by Governor DeSantis and not elected by the people of Broward County. And thus initiated this 248-day nightmare where Miss Norton's daughter was outed because of the reckless way the investigation was announced. She walked out of the front door of the school building on November 26th of last year, never to be heard from again. And what has been clear throughout the course of this investigation is that the outcome was predetermined before the investigation ever began. You take that and you look at the incredible amount of transphobia that's evident in the record of the investigation, from one of the detectives calling her daughter it, to yesterday, a board member openly, publicly misgendering her to the point that the Norton family had to leave the room because of the violent harassment. This board member was so drunk on her own transphobia that she started engaging, with members of the public directly. So yeah, we firmly believe that this is a textbook case of retaliation for someone daring to stand up and say, I don't think this is right, and I'm going to do something about it.
Let me get this straight. The Broward County Public School Board is a 9-member panel who oversees over 330 schools with about 260,000 students. And one of these members takes it upon themselves to target and bully one girl at one school in this district.
And by the way, a couple of those spots in the school board is up for grabs August 20th. So go out and vote.
Oh, you're a Broward County resident, Roy?
Yeah.
Broward. There you go. I'm so uninvolved politically in Broward that I didn't realize that. We should get your picks. Get your picks, Roy.
Well, it's in the mail-in ballot right now, so I don't remember. But it's definitely nobody that was appointed by Ron DeSantis. I can tell you that right now.
I feel like that's a good start. Good start, safe bet if you want a free state of Florida. Jessica Norton, last question before we go. Play devil's advocate for a moment. I understand when you are a public school system of this size that I just described, that you have many masters, you have many customers, many parents, many students to serve, and it can be difficult to sometimes cater to all of the individual needs of all of those students and parents. There is obviously a lot of national controversy and international controversy about transgender athletes in this country. But let's take this specific example here of your daughter. Was your daughter posing some kind of competitive threat as she played high school volleyball in Broward County? Was there some other students, whether in her school or elsewhere, that were being disenfranchised or losing some competitive edge or whatever the issues are here with your daughter? Or is this simply good old-fashioned Florida demagoguery?
So, obviously, very few people have physically seen my daughter in regards to what has been going on. You know, at the time of when this investigation started, you know, she's 5'8", weighed 112 pounds, you know, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very like, you know, she was slender. She's very, very small in stature, young lady. She, you know, she's never gone through male puberty. She's been on hormone blockers. She's been on estrogen. She posed no risk to anybody. She just wanted to play girls volleyball. And, you know, as far as things that they say that I did wrong, you know, her birth certificate when she entered high school says female. You know, so that is the birth certificate that I turned into the Florida High School Athletics Association. Everything that I did as a parent. Nothing, I never changed any records in the computer. I never did anything as far as my child was concerned, illegal as far as my job is concerned. I did it as a parent. And, you know, she never displaced anybody from the team. It's high school sports. It's high school volleyball. It's not the Olympics. It's not, you know, I think this was blown out of proportion. I think all of these trans female sports bans are completely ridiculous. There's no reason for it. I find it comical that they made such a big deal out of something that was not a big deal to anybody that was actually involved in it.
Jessica Norton, her attorney, Jason Starr, thanks so much for being here. Good luck to you and your family here in the free state of Florida.
Thank you.
You know, Roy, back in the 1950s, Miami-Dade County, then Metro-Dade County or Dade County, had an elected sheriff. And then we stopped electing a sheriff. I'll give you 3 guesses why.
They were bought and paid for?
Corruption scandal, absolutely. And so basically the police director became a position that the mayor appointed, and we didn't elect a sheriff like we elect a state attorney, like we elect a clerk of courts, supervisor of elections, et cetera. Well, thanks to a state constitutional amendment, we are now forced, all the counties that didn't have an elected sheriff, there weren't many, are forced to, by this year, by 2024, to elect a sheriff. And to make matters worse, not only were we forced to do something we as local Miamians didn't want to do, it has to be a partisan race. All other local races are nonpartisan, meaning there's no R, no D, no MPA next to a candidate's name. But we have to have we're forced to have a sheriff's race against our will, and we're forced to make it a partisan race. And so obviously that has brought all of the toxicity of bipartisan politics and partisan politics, I should say, into the mix in this race. And we've got something like a total of 15 candidates running in both of the parties, 4 Democrats and all the rest, another 10 or 11 Republicans running. And 2 of those candidates are with us now. Democrats, Ricky Mitchell, a retired lieutenant at the Miami Police Department, and John Barrow, a current major and head of the Miami-Dade Police Department's Personnel Management Bureau, on a leave of absence because he's running for office temporarily. Well, you're either going to be sheriff or you're going to go back to work. I mean, one or the other, Major. So here's the thing, Roy. You remember the conversation we had with Uncle Luke's brother?
Yeah.
Who is Stanley Campbell,
That's
who
right.
is running in a Democratic primary for U.S. Senate to run against Rick Scott here in the state of Florida, who was getting no love and no respect from anybody, from his party, from the media. I'm curious about this because it certainly feels like the black candidates running statewide and countywide here in Miami-Dade have not been getting any love, and that means that's from their own mayor, who herself is a Democrat, who has endorsed one of the candidates in the Democratic primary, who is, believe it or not, was hand-chosen by her political puppeteer, Christian Olvert, the consultant cowboy, who has done more damage to politics in the state of Florida and Miami-Dade than almost any single one individual. This is his client, his candidate, and so Daniela Levine Cava, who previously had endorsed another candidate. She's now all about this guy. Here's the problem. He's totally unqualified. And she promoted him to Miami-Dade, what is it, some nonsensical thing, like public safety director, which he is not, which he's not qualified for, so that she can endorse him to run for another position that he is not qualified for. So I just find that disingenuous. It is a level of political toxicity. I didn't think that even Daniela Levine Cava, who I endorsed 4 years ago, and I have ever since then, I have watched her slip away from just sanity and decency and good faith. She is now a political monster. She is a swamp creature. And that's just my opinion. Ricky Mitchell, retired lieutenant, Miami-Dade Police Department. Are you feeling the love from your party, from your community, from your mayor? How is this race going?
I feel as though I'm out there by myself, to be totally honest with you, Bill. I've had really no support from the mayor nor the Democratic Party, to be totally honest with you. And everything is geared to, as I see it, and it's directed towards her choice and the person that she endorsed. There's 3 other Democrats in the race. But no, I haven't felt any type of support at all.
You think it's fair?
Definitely it's not fair. I believe that anyone that's running for an office in the Democratic Party, especially an incumbent, should have remained neutral until after the primaries. But that's my opinion. That wasn't, I assume, what they felt, because they did to the contrary.
Major Barrow, have you had an opportunity, for example, to go before the Miami-Dade County, what they call the DEC, the Democratic Executive Committee, of which I'm a member? I haven't seen you gentlemen come before maybe an endorsement committee, have an opportunity to get the endorsement of your local party in this primary. Have you had an opportunity to, I guess, make the kind of outreach to, to the community that you would have been able to if you were James Reyes, for example?
I haven't come before the Miami-Dade DEC, which, there no invitation was extended. I have spoken to a lot of people in Miami-Dade County, a lot of Democrats in Miami-Dade County who support my vision. They understand my experience in this department, what I bring to the table, that I am qualified to be the next sheriff of Miami-Dade County. But, those are local Democrats, but from the machine, there hasn't been that much support.
You are a major. You're the head of a bureau in the Miami-Dade Police Department. And I will extend the same question to Mr. Mitchell in a moment, but are you more qualified than, say, the candidate that has been the anointed one by Mayor Levine Cava?
Yeah, I was born and raised here in Miami-Dade County, born in Carroll City. So I understand not only the need for public safety, because there were crimes being committed in then Carroll City, now Miami Gardens, when I was growing up. I also understand what it is to live in a historically disadvantaged neighborhood. And that's why I joined the Miami-Dade Police Department nearly 18 years ago, and I've been serving this county from the north end to the south and everything in between. For half of my lifetime of administration, investigations, operations, there during hurricanes, there through the Surfside building collapse, having actually solved crimes and lowered violence in our communities as the major of Hammock's district, the largest districts in the Miami-Dade Police Department, the major of Northside district, which had some of the highest crimes and real opportunities to bring that safety to community. So I believe I'm more than well qualified of the candidates to, on day one, understand not only the department, what we can do, our resources, our abilities, but where we need to improve and how to work with the community, because I've been doing that my whole career.
Ricky Mitchell, how about you? How does your experience stack up to the other candidates in the race?
Well, then that you did say you were going to give me an opportunity to give you the information on Ricky Mitchell and his history and his background. Yes, I feel very much so that I'm more qualified than the candidate who was selected as being the golden boy, if I may say. Experience. He had no police experience at all on the road, responding to calls, anything to that nature. And not only that, okay, he claims to have a love for Miami-Dade County and the residents of Miami-Dade County. However, he's a resident of Broward County. And it's my understanding that his belief is if he becomes sheriff, at that time, he will make the decision to move to Dade County.
Oh.
Well, that shows a lot of love for the residents in Dade County.
Well, let's talk about qualifications for a moment. He is the so-called public safety director, and so far his achievements appear to be the tragic death of a firefighter during a training a mission. It appears to be the fact that while he was working corrections in Broward County, he rubber-stamped a very shady insider contract for 6 figures on behalf of the sheriff, a company connected to the sheriff, for which he has been under ethics investigation over that and the litany of other issues. The sheriff, I mean, in Broward. So he seems to be involved in some sort of shady shit up in Broward County, where again, he was in corrections, not in police work. And finally, we've been talking about it ad nauseum, the Como Mierda Bowl, Copa America, where an international embarrassment, where we watched I have no trouble calling it a soccer riot because I think, like, literally, bro, it was a soccer riot in a venue in Miami-Dade County where Miami-Dade police seem to be in charge of security over the operation. I mean, these are some pretty embarrassing and tragic accomplishments for a man who the mayor appointed to a position for which he was not qualified for. So, I mean, let's talk about Copa America. What would have been James Reyes's role there? You know, what didn't he do? What should he do? And am I correct in blaming him at all for this fiasco? I'm sorry, let's start with Mr. Barrow and then Mr. Mitchell.
Well, yeah, Copa America was an international fiasco seen around the world, and there should have been a much more robust plan to respond to that soccer match. I think there was an underestimation of soccer fans because I've said my family's from the islands, descended from the islands, and moved to London. Half my family moved to London. So in Europe, in Barbados, in South America, soccer is a big thing. And after matches, sometimes when the opposing team loses, there have been riots. So we needed to be more prepared. You know, I would have to assume, and so I don't want to assume, but, you know, as public safety director, I would assume that falls under his ultimate control.
Now, Miami, though, we always like to contribute a new version of, you know, put our own spin on shit. And so, yes, traditionally, post-game soccer riots are kind of famous. In Miami, we riot pre-game. That's our innovation. That's what we bring to the table. Florida fuckery is our number one export, and this is what we contribute. We're like, we'll riot before the game. You know, forget this. Mr. Mitchell, I will give you the last word. Copa America, international fiasco. What role did James Reyes play in this?
He is considered the chief of police operation. Being the chief of police operation, I feel he should have had a plan laid out, whereas he had met with his staff as well as the staff of the stadium, Miami Gardens Police, and any other municipality services we might have needed to develop a strategy and a plan that would have avoided making us look like we had nothing under control. Just a foresight to realize a game of that magnitude, you needed a solid plan to be able to control whatever the situation might have occurred during that particular time. That responsibility should have fallen on the chief of police operation.
John and Ricky, it seems like they just treated this like a regular Dolphins game.
Absolutely.
I know there were conversations had about, treating it almost like a Super Bowl, but there was other conversations of it, it's just a quote unquote soccer game. But yeah, it's not even rioting before. It's the fact that folks that didn't have tickets were allowed to even enter the property. There should be checkpoints, and if you don't have a ticket, turn around, don't enter. But now you have thousands of people pressing up against the gate, and then there's no way to get control once it's out of control.
Well, the Dolphins haven't been to the Super Bowl in 40 years, so I guess they wouldn't know.
Not to mention, I don't think they get that kind of attendance either, Roy. So clearly they were unprepared. John Barrow, find him at barrowforsheriff.com. Ricky Mitchell, find him at Mitchell for Sheriff 2024. Before we go, I'd like to give you each a chance, as promised, to give us your stump speech, your campaign spiel. 60 seconds, Mr. Barrow.
This is a historic election. I, as a Miami native, growing up in Miami Gardens, I understand the need for public safety. I understand the need for communities of all types, every community in Miami County, to be safe, to be able to play out in front of their yards, to work and visit here safely. And I have the experience over 18 years working in the Miami-Dade Police Department, solving crimes in our communities. I love this community. I love this agency, and that's why I ran for sheriff. And my top priority is to ensure safety for everyone, to fight the status quo here in Miami-Dade County and bring new solutions, new strategies to our neighborhoods to make us safer, and to make the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office a community-rooted organization with civilian input and civilian oversight, so that we can all be safer and stronger together and united. And I ask for your vote this August 20th, vote 61, John Barrow for sheriff. Thank you.
Ricky Mitchell.
Bill, thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Ricky Mitchell. I'm your candidate for Miami-Dade County Sheriff 2024. I'm a native, born and raised in Liberty Square Projects, went to school here, graduated from Miami Central High. I have an AA degree from Miami-Dade, an AS degree. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Criminal Justice from FIU. I have a master's degree. I have a doctorate degree, and I have my law degree. I have 25 years of experience with Miami-Dade Police Department. I have done manifold responsibilities for Miami-Dade Police Department, working from County Line Road back to Naranja, from the ocean back to Jones Fish Camp. I know the people. My platform is very simple, okay? Safety of our community and our families, the safety of our schools and our churches, the safety of our senior citizens. We have to attack corruption. We have to bridge the gap between the community and the police department. We have to lower gun violence and stop our young kids from losing their life, as well as attack mental illness. I am the person, I'm a stand-up person. I'm a person that stands for what's right. I am not part of the county. I am an independent, not a politician, but a person that God directed my path to run in this race. I ask for your vote, number 63. I am the man to do the job. Thank you, Bill.
Mitchell for Sheriff 2024.com, Barrow for Sheriff.com. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Best of luck to you.
Thank you as well, sir. Thank you.
Roy, you feeling that Kamala fever?
Yeah. Again, better than the alternative. I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, I mean,
come on now. That's not enthusiasm. Did you see that rally in Atlanta?
It's not enthusiasm.
People love it. They're off the wall.
Enthusiasm because I already know who I'm voting for. So okay. I've known who I was going to vote for the past 4 years. So I'm not really enthused because in my head,
ABT.
Yeah.
ABT.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've never seen a momentum shift like this before in my life. I mean, there was an assassination attempt on the former president and current presidential candidate that barely survived a 24-hour news cycle, and the Democrats just swiped it away. And that was a major challenge in the 2016 and 2020 races, was to get Donald Trump out of the news. He just sucks up all the oxygen because, let's face it, he's good television. And television people are in it for good television and in it for good ratings. And so they gave him all the earned media and airtime he could possibly anybody in the world could ever possibly get outside of a third world dictatorship where they control the airwaves.
That bullet wound kind of healed quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean his ear looks pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't
looks
listen,
good as new.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just think he was hit by shrapnel. I mean, I
me
don't
too,
think
yeah.
there was a bullet that hit his ear, but like nonetheless, what I'm saying is that they don't know what to do with the vice president. I mean, J.D. Vance, when he's not, on a couch, you heard that secret audio recording, that secretly recorded audio when he was at a fundraiser of Republican donors where he admitted the exact opposite of what Donald Trump has been saying publicly, which is, I'm not scared of her, but I won't debate her. I mean, he is, the man's running scared. He's not just running for president scared. He's literally running away scared. Not the first time a convicted felon has run from a prosecutor, but
Right.
J.D. Vance, dude, just embodies the kind of the creepy incel 40-year virgin vibes of this party of just losers, of just of just outright cucks and creepos and weirdos and sex pests that want to control women's bodies through the law and religion because they can't get any. Let's just face it. That's what we're dealing with here. Yeah. And young Americans don't want anything to do with that, and most Americans don't want anything to do with that. They want to turn the page on this, on Trumpism, let the Republicans get their act together. First of all, Trump doesn't know what to say about this lady.
He knows what to say about this lady.
Yeah, but you can't
a lot
say
of racism and misogyny.
But you can't say the N-word or the C-word at a rally. So
you can't?
Well,
watch.
He hasn't. Listen, he comes out and he's basically like, listen, you all know what I'm thinking. I can't say it, but it's the same thing you guys are all saying at the kitchen table. Just imagine I said it, and then you can all clap for me.
So he hasn't picked up on the whole DEI hire
It's
scheme that they're doing
stupid.
now.
It doesn't work. It's not working. J.D. Vance said in this recording, he said, this was a political sucker punch. Biden dropping out and the vice president, Kamala Harris, entering the race is they don't know what to say about her. Nothing sticks. She's the real deal. She's experienced. She's a lawyer, a prosecutor, an attorney general, a United States senator, the vice president. This guy's got nothing on her. Nothing.
However, it's not just her. Now you have to worry about the House and the Senate.
Yeah, but they're going to get her a nice, safe white guy from the Midwest, probably Mark Kelly from Arizona, from a swing state, a swing state Democrat that can win a statewide election, a governor, a senator, and they'll try to make her safe for the racists. But there's already Republicans coming out to support her. Here's the thing. I want you to know something. People don't know this about me. I was a registered independent, an NPA from the time I was 18 years old in Miami. 1996, I voted in a presidential election that year for, I'll give you three guesses.
96 it was presidential. Okay, so it was Clinton.
No.
96?
I didn't vote for him. No, you're guessing. Are these your three guesses?
Right.
Yes. No, I didn't vote for him. I'm giving you three guesses.
Oh, you didn't vote for him?
He was in the election. I didn't vote for him.
Is Perot still alive?
I voted for Ross Perot. That's exactly right.
Man.
What I'm saying is you can't predict my ballot, is what I'm saying, over my lifetime. I voted for as many Republicans as I have Democrats, maybe more. I'm not just talking about presidents. I'm a super voter. I vote in every election, no matter how big, no matter how small. It could be a one-issue local referendum. I'm there voting, okay? I became a Democrat just a few years ago in 2018 not because some people say, well, I'll say this. I didn't leave the Republican Party. The Republican Party left the United States of America, is what happened. So they left us with one political party. I believe after Trumpism, I want a resurrection of the Republican Party as a legitimate, sane, robust party. Because I don't think we're better off in America with one political party. I think we need more than two strong, sane political parties because you need discourse, you need debate, you need to try to do as much good as you can and institute as much policy that is helpful and palatable to as many Americans as possible. And that comes with good faith discussion, which starts from a basis of mutually mutually agreed upon facts. And then you have good faith policy debates with hopefully multiple parties and multiple good actors. But that's just not what we have right now. And
the last person was who? John Kasich?
Howard Dean.
Howard Dean.
Yeah! What do we say? That's how that guy's political career ended. By going, yeah!
By exuding joy.
By exuding joy. That's exactly Right.
You can't have joy in this job.
Can't have joy in this job. But I think it's funny to see, I mean, the vice president has come out very strongly supporting our Democratic allies on the ground in Venezuela. Viva Venezuela Libre, for crying out loud. I would like them to have free and fair elections. It is funny that Donald Trump has not said a word about the fact that a dictator, strongman punk in Venezuela is literally stealing an election, declaring himself the winner despite all objective evidence to the contrary. It's wild to see Republicans, especially the sedition squad down here in Miami, Congress people like Carlos Jimenez and Mario Diaz-Balart. And
there's always a Diaz-Balart.
And there's it's the dynastic political crime families here. There's Maria Elvira Salazar coming out talking about they voted against the certification of Joe Biden's election on January 6th, even after a violent insurrection of people who were trying to steal an election. They tried to, through an act of Congress, steal a free and fair election. So to see them coming out supporting democracy in Venezuela is pure comedy. And I thank the vice president for her statement showing support to the people who are fighting for their freedom and their democratic rights in America. What I'd like to see is Republicans come together with, across the aisle and work toward democracy and free and fair elections in this country and assure a peaceful transition of power no matter who wins a free and fair election, and stop casting aspersions on, I don't know, where the president of the United States was born. Is he American? Have we seen a birth certificate? Is he Al-Qaeda? Is he African? Is Hawaii even in the United States? I mean, we have legitimate presidents, okay? I'll tell you one thing. Donald Trump has never won the popular election. Never.
Well, Republicans running for president hasn't won a popular election. How long now?
Oh, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. But it's okay. We have the Electoral College to help save us from ourselves, you see.
Yeah.
It helps ensure that, those states' rights. You know what states' rights meant at the time of the framing of the Constitution, don't you, Roy?
Yeah. It has a lot to do with, slavery and, the keeping of black people in bondage, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I just want to let everybody know I have a few black friends.
Yeah.